you have your client, and your client expect you to deal with U.S. practitioners, especially about the U.S. prosecution. So how would you handle that? And I used to be one of those U.S. practitioners. I'm still one, and I used to be a U.S. PTO examiner. So I will tell you how I would handle it when I interact with my U.S. outside counsel. So, and I was told that maybe not all of you understand what Nokia is, and that's the very common misconception. Nokia is not Microsoft. Nokia sold a hand business to Microsoft about 5 years ago. I joined after the Microsoft, the the device, mobile device went to Microsoft. After a couple of years, Microsoft decided to sell it to a small company called HMD in Finland. And HMD licensed Nokia's name, brand to produce Nokia handheld devices. So you can still buy Nokia devices that are not made by Nokia, Nokia's name. Nokia is a network company mainly. All the 4G, 5G, all the systems like our main competitors are Huawei, Ericsson, and all those companies. Nokia merged with Alcatel-Lucent. Obviously, Alcatel-Lucent was a resulting merger with Alcatel and Lucent. Lucent in France. Alcatel used to own Bell Labs. Now Bell Labs is part of Nokia. So that's the quick introduction of Nokia. Such a small group. You have any question, anything? Raise your hand and we'll make it a lively discussion. Okay, what are we going to talk about? The US 101 landscape. Sherry on Monday gave a very good historic path of how we got to this mess right now. US 101 will continue to be a mess. So it's in flux and can change. And add to that confusion, inconsistent claim construction, right? Seemingly conflicting cases from the federal circuits and PTAB. Okay, USPTO try to like, oh, now how do I make sense of this case and that and come up with guidelines and update the guidelines. Examiners have always a problem with 101. The problem, let me tell you how examiners get promoted. They started at a certain level, and then until a certain time they keep on examining until they promoted called partial signatory. That means they can sign for non-final. And then they go to another level, go to a signatory. That means they get a primary examiner, they can sign for anything. To go from a junior examiner to a partial sign for non-final, most examiners fail on 101. They don't fail on priority examination. They are so afraid of 101. So they examine, for example, like 17 cases, they get to miss only one, and most of them missed it on 101. So that, and the 101 has always been in flux with the examiner. So keep that in mind. It's very important to select the right practitioner to draft the cases. Sometimes you have choices, sometimes you don't, right? If you work with a US firm with only a few cases, they have only one technical guy, you cannot be choosy. But if you have a choice, you can be choosy. You should be choosy.
May I interrupt? Most of us who are non-Americans don't have, we don't dream at night about 101. Could you tell us what 101 says?
Oh, thank you. That is why I'm telling you the practice and handle as a non-practitioner. 101 mainly identify the 4 statutory classes that U.S. is allowed to grant utility patents. Process, composition of matter, which is like pharma, we don't deal with pharma, and article of manufacture, like how you make this bottle, and system basically the catch or anything like mobile device and that kind of thing, a system. In a normal computer-related invention, you have 3 classes. You have the computer medium claim. Computer medium is article manufacturer. How do you limit that? You claim, for example, a CD back in the old day. Now it's a non-transitory medium like a USB thing. You don't get a claim on just any USB, right? And then USB device. Your limitation is the software in it, all the functional language, and processing, how you deal with the process. For example, you read something, you process something, you spit it out the result. Of course, you cannot get a claim with those three lines, right? You have to like read what, process what, how, and then all those have to be distinguished from the prior art. And the article, the system mean apparatus that have all the similar function and features. So that's 101. And it sounds very straightforward, as Sherry on Monday said. But the Supreme Court say, at one point they say, anything man-made under the sun can be prosecuted, can get a patent. And they started to climb down, keep on climbing down until now they say, no, you don't get it with Alice and everything. They don't tell you the boundary of it. Just leave us to deal with the mess. So that's the mess. Okay.
So it's what's eligible, but also says new, useful, and it also says discovery, which I think Sherry also mentioned, yes. Which most of us patent lawyers know that discoveries are not patentable unless they are used to obtain a new and useful result.
Yes, that's a good question. That area mainly pertaining to like pharmaceutical, pharma, and that those 2 cases. I don't deal with pharma, so I don't keep up with those names that Sherry mentioned. With Alice, it's mainly on computer implemented invention. So system, software. Any other questions? Okay. So when you hire a U.S. practitioner, you should make it clear to them, be confident that they should know that 101 Alice cases from both the Federal Circuits and the USPTO. And for most of you who are not U.S. practitioner, a quick introduction of U.S. court system is the district court all over the country, and all the appeal of patent cases go up to only 1 circuit, Federal Circuit. So all of the patent appeal go up to Federal Circuit. They handle, I don't know, thousands of cases, maybe hundreds of cases. And if you appeal from Federal Circuit, you go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court probably take 1-2 cases a year if we're lucky. And whatever the Supreme Court come down, it's like, we gotta scramble, now how do we do with that? So the Federal Circuit is the main patent court that tell you what to do with the patent cases. So when I hire U.S. practitioners or deal with the current U.S. practitioners, and make your expectation known to them that something, no, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in the black hole. There's something in there. If you have such a person and your invention is not business method, don't use that person next time. So avoid that. Follow the European lead, the European practice at this point is a little bit safer. Not guaranteed to be safe with all the US cases, but focus on the technical details of it. But don't follow the European practice on mean plus function. So that's a sideline. And the business method, you have business method. Oh, another way to avoid business method, even if your claims are good, follow technical angle. Don't put anything in the title, background, products, a detailed description to say that this is how I can make the most money for my client. That's business method. So not just a claim language, but in those broad statements. Question so far? How am I doing in time?
You got about 7 minutes.
Oh, okay, great. This is very important. How many of you have heard BLI? Are you a U.S. practitioner?
Yes.
For the non-U.S. practitioner, this is very important. Broadest reasonable interpretation. If you know what this means, you can save at least on average one prosecution round, not just 101, 112, 102, 103. I used to be examiner. I told myself when I come out, I would not fall for this because I've been trained on this. But guess what? I failed for this. Let me tell you what broadest reasonable interpretation is. The USPTO is supposed to interpret the claim in the broadest reasonable way. Normally, the examiner is right on the broadest part. Don't try to argue that. It's the reasonable part that you should say. Is it really reasonable? Ask someone who does not know the invention to look at it. Is it broadly reasonable? And I was in an interview. I knew I would not fall for this. I was interviewing with the examiner. I said, no, what do you mean by this? No. This is not this. This invention is this. I had to explain to him. And I have to use an example in the patent application to explain it. Except my example is not in the claim. And I caught myself. Oops, he's right. He had the broadest reasonable interpretation. And I would say, oh, you want that? Put that in the claim. So, why would you want an interpretation that is, we are very greedy people, right? Patent attorney. We start drafting that. Oh, you want what? You want a Bluetooth? A Bluetooth, okay. Now you broaden it up. Bluetooth in wireless and in radio. And could that be wired here? Yes, it could be wired. We just say any wire, any communication. That already so broad to cover the whole world, right? That's in your claim. And then when, in my mind, since I drafted that, I knew what I meant with Bluetooth. But in the claim, I just say communication connection. Examiner said, no, they find something else with the line. I said, no, it's not that, it's not wired. Your claim didn't say that. So I narrowed it down to radio communication. It's still really broad, right? So that's one way to look at broader reasonable interpretation. Another situation that there was, how many of you deal with database? How many knows database? No. Database, when you have a connection, in a database world, you call it physical connection, right? When you already establish that, you say open physical connection. Like someone saying, it's physical, the word physical. It's not really physical. So I dealt with a claim that had been handled by a EE, mechanical, and another EE, and the same prosecution went through 4 rounds, did not go around it. I came with a software background and said, oh, so the claim language is open physical connection. I just changed it to open connection. Done, allowed. Broader reasonable connection. So if you know that, you will serve, you have provided your service to your client, not just on 101, on any rejection. Okay, I told you about examiner. They don't like 101. They don't know how to do well on 101. So what they do is, if they smell anything, they reject it. Until whether they are comfortable, say, no, they're confident that I cannot reject it. You have to help the examiner to convince them that it's eligible. That's why it's important to align your claim language with the positive cases and away from the negative cases. When I was giving this talk in another conference in the U.S., and there was there was a USPTO attorney there, and he's the one who told me, no, don't just align with the positive, align away with the negative too. You don't need to know all those cases. You ask your U.S. practitioner, what are the positive cases that are closely aligned to my invention? What are the negative ones that you should stay away from? interview is your friend. Tell your client that. Interview with 101 and 112 is your friend. You don't want to interview the first round, that's fine. If your prosecution not advancing, not going anywhere, interview, because you don't want to put anything more in the prosecution history that doesn't go anywhere. Now you tainted your record. If you try one round, it didn't work. Ask your U.S. practitioner to schedule an interview. Does not need to be in-person interview, phone interview. Ask the examiner, I was thinking of this language, what do you think? Or can you provide a suggestion? Claim language that work on 101. All those discussions is not on your prosecution history. So you save your client money and you advance prosecution. Questions? Suggestions?
People have suggested if you classify it in the 3600 group, I think they call it jailbreaking, or where you submit a CIP that adds some new claims that would put it in a different category. You change the title and so forth, and you really have the same invention, but you're trying to repackage it, get it assigned to a new art unit, and then you cancel the claims covering that new matter and just go back to the original claims. Then you add the priority link at that point. Hopefully you now have a new examiner and a new unit that will continue the examination.
Good suggestion. The money is in, hopefully you'll get assigned to a different examiner.
Yeah.
When I was at the USPTO, I was able to examine anything other than business unit. If I see something business unit, my supervisor said, don't touch it, give it to a business unit, the business method guy. There's a courtesy at the USPTO when I was there, I don't know if it changed. If I examine this case, and there's any case that fall under this, like continuation CIP, it's a courtesy for the one that get assigned to, and then ask me, hey, I have one of your child cases. Do you want it? Unless the examiner really hated that case, like the examiner say, sure, I'll take it, because I'm ready to do a search on it.
So it may not work.
So that's a very good suggestion. That's the only way you can try to get out. It's not very successful. So it's best to stay away from it at the beginning.
Those are running out of time.
Okay. Do we have time for one more question?
Sure.
What is the average percentage of the rejection of the application in the U.S. Patent Office?
The average rate for a computer, if I need to draw a number, is pretty high. The rejection allowance is like around 50%, maybe a little higher. It depends on the art unit. I was surprised that even AI cases, the allowance rate is about halfway mark. But business method is a single digit.
And what is the common reason for rejection? Or is it more than one reason?
Well, obviously, if there's a prior art out there, the examiner thing is read on your case, that's the rejection. And 101 and 112, those are the threshold rejection. Those you have to meet some requirements. Those are not prior rejection. As examiner, they have to reject you under, they cannot just give you a 101 rejection and, oh, I want to wait until you deal with that, then I do prior rejection. No, if there's any prior rejection, they reject everything. If 101 and 112 the only thing left before they allow it, then those are the only ones that stay there. So common rejection should be on prior art. All right, I'm running out of time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.